Okay, I think we can start. Hello, everyone. This is our fourth workshop for this week, and we're talking about virtual environment. So basically, what actually today I'm showing, I'm working with the same repository as I start at Monday. And we try to set up everything without script setup sh, like doing all of that with the terminal. And then we take a look at script itself and like see how it works under the hood. And then maybe we have some like short Q&A session or just like talking about the Python environments and how to build software with Python. And for today, that's it actually. And so happy Friday. I wish everyone a good mood. And so we begin. Yeah, and if you have any questions, please ask them mostly in chat. Or when we have like sessions with a question, I ask like, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them with a voice. Thank you. Okay. So here our repository. I'll already clone that up, but anyway, let's start from scratch. We take the repository here. Also, like we have here three options. So why they make sense and which situations. Mostly we use this one. Yes, we clone repository with the HTTPS protocol. Like git clone, paste this link, enter, and we clone our repository. With SSH, if we clone repository, we actually need to send to our account on GitHub the public key from our system. So it makes sense if you work in secure way and you want to have like approved commits from approved device from approved systems. So here, feel free to use SSH. And another one, I'm starting using this one mostly with my personal actual laptop. It's possible to install on our system GitHub as a software, as a terminal software. It's actually, most of us know the GitHub desktop software. I mean, this one. Yes, this one. And we start using like that mostly because it's easy with buttons, etc. But we also have like this one application in terminal, which is also useful, which contains a lot of stuff. And I just like copy this link, paste it here. But I need to rename the repository and clone it. So that's useful too. I also have a secure connection. Also, GitHub understands that it's actually me cloning this repository, so that's fine. Okay. So when we start working with a Python project, what actually we should know? First of all, when we work with Python, we mostly use some packages and tools which helps us to build our application. And for example, Python, we install on our system globally. Like we'll install it as a GitHub program on our desktop. But then when we start building our project, what else? We actually want to download a lot of different tools which specific for exactly our project. And for most of cases, we need to have specific versions of libraries and tools which were used. And for example, in one project, we can have version of any package 1.0, but for another project, we need to have the same library, but with a different version. So, and here we come with the helping with virtual environment. How it work? How we can start to work with it? So first of all, we need to install Python on our system. Then we need to install Python minus environment package, actually globally, to start using this tool, which allows us to create in virtual environment. So, and with the command Python minus m venv, and the second parameter after venv, it's actually the name of the folder where contains all our packages and also our virtual environment. I name it .venv, so that means this folder is hidden, and venv because it's easy to remember that virtual environment in 4 letters, venv. So we created it, but it's just the starting point. Let's take a look at all our structure of project. If I press just ls, I can't see anything new. But if I go with the flex -la, I can see the hidden files. And here we see our directory .venv. And this directory contains like a bunch of stuff, which is related to folder with the packages and libraries, which were installed later, and also with the folder bin, which is focused on interacting with this environment. So now in our terminal, I'm working in a global scope. So I need to turn on virtual environment scope and then install in that scope any libraries. Otherwise, if I start install any libraries right now within this scope, I install them globally. So, and here come like a lot of confusing parts because I'm working on Mac. It's actually work the same for Linux, but for Windows, we have a different structure of inside .venv folder. What I mean activation of the virtual environment. So to activate virtual environment and in Bash, let's talk in Bash context. Who don't know what is Bash? Bash is the terminal software which allows you to interact with the system and software which is installed under the system. And Bash mostly installed on all Mac, on all Linux systems. It's not by default installed on Windows, so please, if you're on Windows, install Bash. It makes so much sense to work with the software development, and it makes so easy to use scripts, to use your, like all your stuff on your system. Bash is really, really, really good tool. So for activating in Bash our local environment, virtual environment, I'm so sorry, we use that, which is like trigger the execution file. Then I need to write the route where this file actually located. So I go to .venv, then bin, then activate. And this command actually activate the virtual environment. So how I can recognize that the virtual environment is turned on? As you see here, I see .venv highlighting. Let's take a look how it looks like in VS Code in a different context. So here we have, let's go with Bash, perfect. Same .venv bin activate. In most of cases, you will see on ZSH or in Bash, like in the beginning of the row, this sign, it means you're inside of the scope of virtual environment. Okay, So now what else? Now we need to install all the packages inside for our project. We actually need to set up our project. So in Python, it's really interesting. We can store all our libraries, frameworks, and tools which is related to the project inside of just txt file requirements.txt. Let's take a look. Which contains just like for each row the name of each library that we want to install. So in here, magic begins. At this point, I don't specify any versions of libraries, but in production-ready projects, actually most of developers freeze their versions on stable versions of the libraries. For example, IPY kernel equals 2.0 and etc. So here we just use the latest versions because we use mostly all of the stable features from those libraries. And then what we actually need to know next. We have our package manager inside of the virtual environment, pip. That's actually close to, by the meaning, close to npm package, node package manager. Pip actually package manager for Python tools. So first of all, let me show you, for example, about python.env library and where it's located inside of in context of package management. Open website like Google, write python.env pip, and open this famous website, pyp.org, which is actually contains all the packages and tools related to Python, which is available to install with pip. And like, if you want to download any package or any library for Python, mostly like 99%, you find them at this website. Let me change it to English. Yes. So here, like a lot of, here actually all of the Python projects. And that's really, really, really useful to see like what the projects related to Anthropic. I think this one, 0.34.2 is the official one. Here we can open that, take a look who are maintainers, take a look at repository on GitHub for sure, take a look at the project page, take a look at the operation systems that are working with this library, and the versions of languages of, I mean, the Python versions, which are working with this library. And here we see like we can install the library with pip install Anthropic. Let's try it actually, like pip install Anthropic. Yeah, perfect. So here I just like collecting all the data related to this package, and I already have it on my system. That's why I have a message like using cached. And as you see, Anthropic call bunch of other libraries related to this library. So don't be scared when you try to install just one tool and it's like grab with it a bunch of different other tools. It's under the system, it's under the Python system, it's under the package management system. You build one package which connected to another package, which connected to another package. And when you start downloading something which is related to other, it downloads too. So don't be scared about that. That's totally normal. And yeah. So we don't want to install all package like by one line. We want to install all of them with just one command, and we use pip -r install requirements.txt. Pip install -r requirements. Yeah. So what we do here, I use command pip. I use command install to install the package. -r means recursively, and I paste the txt file where I have by one each row the package that I want to install. And with the recursion, I go through each line and install all the packages with just one line, one command line. Yeah, here like more libraries we see also. And so first of all, they are downloaded, and at the next stage of installing all the packages, they are actually processing, they are installing under the system, unpackaging, in other words. Yes, let's wait a little bit because there are a lot of things. Okay, perfect. Also, we see here that there are a new release of PIP is available, and like program advise us to, if I want to update my version of pip, I can use pip install upgrade pip. Also with this flag, you can upgrade the version of the library. For example, if you install some old version of the library and then you update your software to another one, or you want to update your current installed version of library you already have, you can use upgrade and upgrade it actually to the latest version of the library. So let us use that. Yes, perfect. I have the last version of pip. Okay, now let's see how it looks like in VS Code. So here in VS Code, we have this hidden folder which contain all this stuff. So here our folder bin, which contained a lot of actually programs which are possible to use. But here we just take a look mostly on activate. If you use fish, you can activate with this fish, or here other activate triggers related to different terminal programs. Here the libraries which we are installed. So here a lot of stuff, and also I think we can find here Anthropic. Yeah. Here our version of Python. So mostly we store now all our packages for this project here. For example, if somehow you are not in the virtual environment and you want to start working with a project, if you want to run the program which is not in the global scope, you actually see the error. And if you, like when you're starting working with your project and you want to work with the programs which are the tools which are related to your program, first of all, you need to turn on the virtual environment. Then the scope of programs are opening on the terminal or in the VS Code context. So, for example, we install our virtual environment, and then we want to open the Jupyter Notebook. So here we have some, like another one tool, Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook is actually, like here in VS Code, is just an extension. In data science world or in Python development world, it's another one. It's not an IDE, but it's like interface which focused on visual representation of information like images, texts, and other stuff, and the code. I don't actually use exactly like Jupyter Notebook, but the most that data scientists know familiar with with that and use that every day. Yeah, if you're interested, like go to jupyter.org, install that, and try to interact with that. Okay, I can try within browser. So it looks like no, it's not open us the. Okay, yes, it's we see that, and we see that. Yeah, if you take a look at those two interfaces, they are similar. Let me change the theme to white to make for eyes easier to recognize the difference. So here we see like the text blocks from the left side and from the right side. And when we scrolling down, here we see the code blocks, which are possible to run. So here we run all code blocks with just like run button. But I think in desktop version, there are like another one buttons which are related to each code block like this. And we can run like each code block, then see like here the result. If I run the Anthropic API key, for example, now I have an error. But yeah, so this is what I want to show you, that this is like the familiar, the famous interface for working with the Python, with the data, and actually to show in some educational stuff. Okay, now come back to VS Code. And if I want to, for example, I just like open the VS Code. I know that I install all the libraries and I start running my first code block, and I see here on top, select kernel. Select kernel actually related to our virtual environment. And if we choose Python, we actually need to choose Python environments. And we see here a bunch of environments which are related to our global paths. And with the star, we see the closest, like the recommended path with the vnv/bin/python, which is related to our hidden folder. And if we click on that, we see here icon with .vnv python, and it's totally the same that we have in the terminal. But now it is working in VS Code in Jupyter Notebook environment. And for sure, I have here an error. I have no API key because I don't set up .local file with an API keys. So this is about the virtual environment. Any questions? I'm ready to answer for any questions if they are. So the first question, is it because using VNV that comes with an entire directory better for deployment production code? That's a great question. I think the answer is no, it's not better. It's more better for development process. And for production, when we deploy that, I'll show it actually today, that we Dockerized our Python projects. So we put them in Docker. And when we put like our just one project just in the Docker for that project, we install everything globally. Because in Docker scope, we don't need to create virtual environment. We just install that globally, and it's all installed as it is in a simple way in Docker. And yeah, that's the. I hope that's the answer for the first question. A second question from Arseny. Yes, okay. I use macOS as you do. Did you somehow change the name of Python command? Yeah, I know the pain about Python 3. I don't remember. Let me check. Second. Okay. Or I have an alias for that, or I changed the name. So actually, I'm not like so clear set up everything. Maybe I have like two versions of that. And when I set up the script setup sh, I actually when try to install on like test it on a different system, I find this type of problem with the Python and Python 3. I'm mostly like try to make everything as simple as possible. So even your system is not working like with the Python, and then you trigger another command or start any program, maybe it's better to write some kind of alias. So like you have both and Python and Python 3 and the Python alias, which is related to Python 3. I choose that way. And thank you for the question. Another one, should we install Notebook globally or install it within .env file? That's a great question. Let me actually take a look at requirements. I've installed Jupyter Notebook globally. At this case, yes, I install it globally, but I install in virtual environment IPY kernel to make work my local environment in VS Code context. Yeah, so I install that one to make it work in VS Code. But Jupyter Notebook should be available. Actually, if you run it, and in VS Code give you an opportunity to install the extension. I think if you work just like in VS Code scope, install the extension, maybe it's good enough. I don't test it without that. So VS Code really helpful here. Just like go with it. It shows you like you open this format, maybe you need this extension, install that, easy. Arseny, why not? Why not? Yes, let's make it more interested. Please contribute your vision here and let's test it. Maybe we can play with the some tests. I mean, maybe I install here, like make here some actions to just like run the tests, run the setup.sh script on the different systems. Like I think it's possible to run it with a bunch of versions of Linuxes. I don't know, is it possible to run it with Windows or Mac virtual machine? But okay, I'll try to check. And then with the setup.sh, we can like play and make it more flexible. But also, I now show that today actually I make it flexible, and I'll show how. And let us see how it looks like now. I make an update here. So actually, here is an updated version of our setup sh script. What actually it do? It recognize in global variable what operation system type actually in active right now, and it check this string, and if it is, it run the specific command to activate virtual environment. Yeah. Actually, I don't have Windows with the bash. Please someone test that. And if you work from clean Linux system, you can test that. But I tested with Linux, it actually work. And Darwin, it's actually for Mac. Yeah, please do that. And let's start from the beginning. So what the script actually do. So we have here some bunch of colors. I think colors is a great thing to make your software beautiful and nice looking. And here some comments related to colors. Let it be like that for now. Okay, and here are some comments and statements to check what is going on here. First of all, we check, is Python installed under the system? For example, Arseny, please improve that. Maybe here we can here the first thing that we can improve, we can check, is the Python or Python 3 installed on our system? So just if-else statement, it's easy. Then we are going to setting up environment. So our environment means like our variable where we put all our API keys and sensitive data. I mean that one. So if what the problem actually here? Why I write this if statement here? Because if I just every time we set up everything, we just use copy and, for example, to env, and then echo we done, we rewrite the file. For example, you set up that env file, you do that with the patient, but then you just run setup sh because maybe you install some library, maybe you have another issues, and it just delete the previous file. So that's why to make this if statement useful, to don't delete the file, and we actually see that our env file already exists. Same thing for the VNV, and some people from the first workshop meet the issue when they set up the VNV, the virtual environment, I'm sorry, and then trying to activate it and trying to install all the requirements. So this command is working perfectly, we create a virtual environment, but then we have issues. But then when we try to install all the requirements, they are not installed, and it's better. So this might be another one update for this script, is actually if we don't install the requirements, if we don't have libraries from the requirements, delete .vnv file and then create .vnv folder again, activate it, and install the requirements. It's kind of make RE when we build C projects. So it's related to that. It might be. Why not? Yeah, and then we have this message about setup complete. So that's pretty much it. That's nothing special. So let's see how it works. Checking if Python installed. Okay, nice. We have Python. We don't have .env file, so we're setting up that. We do it how we do that with the .env. Then we can activate it. Our activation actually work, and then if it work, it try to install all the packages and all work fine. And after all, the libraries, installed libraries, we see that requirements txt done and setup complete. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. Question about production side. If there are any questions, please ask them. Maybe I can highlight some other things. Okay, fine. It looks like everything fine. For example, our program project is done, and we want to organize to set up it within a Docker file. So what the difference? I'll actually let it be on full screen. Oh. I'm sorry. Okay, let it be like that. So let's go from the structure. We have here some kind of solution, the backend solution. We actually see the same thing. We have here requirements.txt with a bunch of tools. Here we have our famous setup sh script. I'll actually try to just make it reuseful and put them in other projects. And we have here Docker file. Docker file, yes, let's talk about that. What this actually, why we use Docker. For example, we have our application, then we want to run it on some cloud service like AWS server. What we do, we go to the light sail, we take yes to instance, or we take the private virtual VPS instance, virtual private server, and we have there Linux, Ubuntu, or Debian, or other version of Linux, our distribution of Linux. But imagine that for every system, make different setup of libraries, different setup of software, different conditions of software is actually not useful at scaling. First of all, at scaling. And to make a Docker container and to start to building your software and thinking about you can containerize that and prepare everything for that is a really good solution on all production projects. So what we do here, we use Docker file, we choose the version of Python that we want to use. Slim bullseye, it's actually a slim version, which is not contains all the features under the Python. There are some cuttings, but it's good to work. Most of the projects work like that. When we show the work directory where the application is located, then we set up global environment variables for that. And then we do pretty simple thing. We copy from our folder to Docker folder requirements.txt and just install the requirements here. We upgraded the pip and etc. But actually we do the same that we do on our virtual environment context, but in global scope for the Docker container file. And then we just run the program and that's it. And in context container, in context of the Docker container, it worked globally and it worked fine. But talking more about Docker container, I think we're talking about that later. So I'm just showing that mostly virtual environment useful when you develop something. When you starting run it on the production side, mostly you run it in a Docker container, mostly you install everything in Docker globally. So that's the answer. We have some questions about, can someone post the GitHub repo? Okay. Where's the boilerplate? About the boilerplate, first of all, we start with the workshops, and please for now focus on the stuff which we are showing during the workshops, because the boilerplate is actually the essence of everything we are working around during these 2 weeks. And after these 2 weeks, we're showing you we're presenting you this boilerplate and talking about that and present how it works, etc. Yeah, Docker container is not related to the AI soup. I just trying to answer the question. And if you have any time, please read about the Docker container because it's a very, very useful knowledge for the hackathon. Yes, now we can go with a Q&A session if you have any questions related to something, maybe to Friday, maybe to good weather. I don't know. Actually, here in AI Soup, I've had just like 2 things to do. If you want to learn more about working with the texts and with the databases, especially, I find the interesting data set, sentiment analysis for mental health. So you can start like just grab this data set, it's in CSV, then install SQLite database, put this data inside and trying to play with it. Maybe then connect some API and Anthropic API and trying to interact with it. So this is like some kind of things to do. And another one is about images. It's an image classification. So here, like a bunch of different animals, types of animals, and you can like upload them into the ChromaDB, for example, and trying to start querying the animals and like playing in any way you want, to start understanding like how the multimodal pipeline might be actually, and how it's possible to work with an images and vector representation, and how actually it work when you write cat or dog and it's really show you cat or dog on the image. It blows my mind when I start doing that. It's really interesting to learn like how this technology work and what stands behind that. So maybe someone could be interested on that. Yes, Arseny, cool question. Actually, Zhen Hong mentioned about his knowledge about Conda. So Conda is like another package manager, like the other side from the like Yarn and npm or pnpm, and Pipey and Conda is actually like 2 package managers. So what the difference between Pipey and Conda? Oh, sorry about VNV and Conda. I'm a little bit sorry. Package manager of in context of Pipey, I know just this one. I messed that with a virtual environment. So virtual environment, like some of Python developers use Conda or Python VNV. What the difference between Conda and Python VNV is Python VNV is related to Python and Python packages and just Python language. Conda can also contains the different version of Python inside of the virtual environment. So if you work with a wider project and you need to work with the different versions of Python, like you globally install the latest version, but in a virtual environment you need like the oldest one, for example, you can with Conda specify different version of Python. Also, Conda contains the different packages from different languages. That's another one differences. Yeah. So I think Pipey is like the most famous thing, and it's useful. Actually, npm is useful too. Like, why we need to work with another package manager? I'm joking. If you want to use like Yarn or other stuff, that's good. Yes, and Hong, thank you. Correct me. Yes. Yes. I totally agree with a more experienced person in Conda because I mostly use just Python VNV and familiar with that. But my wife uses Conda. She's also Python developer, but she working with the Conda. She chose that side. And when I asked her why you use Conda, she said that actually what I said, I want to test the software with the different versions of Python. So with Python VNV, it's impossible to do. Then I chose the Conda to work with the different versions of Python, and she worked with the different languages too in one project. And it's easier. It's available to maintain different packages in different languages with this tool. Actually, that's all I want to say today. Thank you for being here. I'm ready to answer for any questions you have. Hopefully they are help you with your path. Mm-hmm. Okay. So thank you for this first week. It is really interesting for us as organizers. Hopefully, it's interesting for you as a participants. And I really enjoy all this week. That's really great. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for all your feedbacks. Also, I want to mention that we are all here. Please share with us your feedback about this workshop. Let me send you the link. Yeah, this is the link about the feedback from this workshop. If you have like any kind of feeling that this is a lot, please write on Slack to I'll tell in which room. Like we have room social, we have chat room. So if you think that that's a lot of different things and it's scary to dive into that alone, please write about that in those rooms and find people who feeling the same and try to interact with them, because at final stage you will be combined into teams. So please start to interact with each other and start like talking about something. If someone wants to like start the hackathon just with this weekend, with these two or one of the projects from this workshop, from the AI soup, please start doing that. Also ask the questions in Slack. I'll be in Slack during this weekend, and if I can answer some questions, I'll be online and help you with it. Yeah. From where are we getting the APIs? Yes. Like, give me okay. How to edit Markdown in inside of the repository, right? We go here in our repository, go to the app pencil. Then we have here some kind of tools we used. Let's add related links to that for helping Mikhail find the link. So in square brackets, I'll square the name of the file which has been highlighted, and in these brackets, I'll put the link. Console, anthropic.com, copy, paste here. So this is the first link. Let's do the same for ChromaDB. ChromaDB. Try Chroma, maybe go to the doc link, paste it. For the evidently, maybe someone getting interested in monitoring and play with a bunch of the data sets. Here are the docs, copy, paste and close. Let's preview that. Okay. Now we have here under the tools, the links related to those tools. And let's commit that. Perfect. So now if you go to the repository, I think everyone have the links. You have here related links. Yeah, and if you have any proposals, please ask me, because I really want to make it like useful and easy to get into. And we do that together. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you. Happy coding. Happy. And yeah, thank you. Bye.